Welcome to our first flipped classroom of period 2 on chapter 7, the empires of Persia. The Persian empire that we're mainly going to focus on is the one displayed in the map below, which is the Achaemenid Empire. This is generally considered to be the most the most important, I guess, Persian Empire. It's the longest lasting. It's the one that had the war with Greece, which you see right over here. And it's the one that we're going to be focusing on for those reasons. The Persian Empire, as you can see, extended through the Fertile Crescent into Egypt and stopped just about at India here. So there are a few main ideas as we carry through this chapter, and I'm going to try to relate these ideas as we move through to the key concepts in your key concept packet and on your handouts. Classical Persian society had its origins in the 6th century BCE with the rise of the dynasty of the Achaemenids. The Achaemenids lasted from 558 BCE to 330 BCE, so they were incredibly long lasting. And they started under Cyrus the Great. Later rulers such as Cambius, Darius, and Xerxes created an incredibly large, mostly stable, and in most ways tolerant empire for its age. And the tolerance of the Persian Empire is one thing that makes it very successful and very special. The Persian political, social, and religious influences also transcend for centuries, and they don't just transcend in Persia, but also spread throughout India and the Mediterranean world. A lot of people use Persian political techniques. Eventually, the Achaemenids were followed by the Seleucids, who rule from 328 to 83 BCE, the Parthians from 247 to 224 CE, and then the Sassanids from 224 to 651 CE. When the Sassanids were defeated by the Islamic invaders in 651, a new page of Persian history dawned. And that defeat in 651 is important because it also marks period 3 for us. So this first slide goes to concept 2.1, and it's basically how the Persians became the Persians. But it's not this part of the PowerPoint is not as important as the later administration parts for key concept 2.1. So how did they become the Persians? Two related Indo-European tribes, the Persians and the Medes, migrated to Persia around 1000 BCE. They were Indo-Europeans or Aryans. This was part of the Aryan migration. Although the tribes were pretty limited in political organization because they were movers or migrators, they were really super awesome horsemen and they were really militarily pretty incredible. So they easily defeated the sedentary people around. Expansion began under the Achaemenids, and we're going to get to that in just a second. These guys were polytheistic and they mostly worshipped animal spirits. And you can see the fierce warrior next door there. So getting into the outline of the Achaemenids. Cyrus was the first Achaemenid emperor, and he ruled from 558 to 529 BCE. He was a military genius and very tolerant. One group that he was tolerant of was the Babylonians. During his conquest of Babylon, he allowed them to celebrate the Babylonian New Year without a battle, and he observed that New Year as well. And they just kind of gave in to him. And when he did that, there were Jews living in exile as well there, and he sent them. He allowed them to return home. So he was incredibly tolerant. Now, in he expanded his empire from Media, Lydia, Bactria, and Babylonia. Cambius expanded into Egypt, which made the empire much larger, richer. Egypt was kind of a breadbasket, producing a lot of grain, but also expanded the empire. Darius was known as the greatest Achaemenid ruler, and he expanded the empire to its greatest distance from North India to Thrace near Greece and Macedonia. So next, in the next section, we'll get into how you control all of that stuff.